Thank you for joining Quick Tips for Nonprofits. Today's quick tip is about tax exemption. This will be part one of two on tax exemption. We will cover the various taxes on the federal and state levels that you need to know about and the tax exemptions that are available. Community Law Center is a legal services provider for nonprofit organizations and community organizations throughout Maryland. Community Law Center can help nonprofits with a variety of legal issues such as formation, necessary filings, and governance for boards, to many other issues involving property, zoning, contracts, employment, nuisance issues, liquor board matters, and intellectual property. We really are here as a resource for nonprofits. Today's quick tip is just for informational purposes and should not be construed as legal advice, which really should be tailored to your organization. If you wish to become a client of Community Law Center, your organization can submit a simple application. Tax exemption can be confusing for new organizations because there really are multiple components. Similarly to individuals, organizations normally need to pay both federal income tax and state taxes. And currently for regular C corporations, the tax rate is 21% for federal income tax. And for Maryland income tax, businesses with income in the state of Maryland pay an 8.25% tax. There are also sales taxes and property taxes. Unfortunately, one application cannot exempt you from all taxes, but as we cover the various taxes today, you can determine which ones apply to you and how to apply for exemption for each of those. Listed first is the federal income tax, and exemption includes 501c3 public charities and other IRS categories for nonprofits, but we will cover those in detail in part two of this quick tip in the next video. Here in part one, we will get an overview of all the taxes. One thing to note though is that receiving IRS recognition of your tax exempt status, for example, as a 501c3, is often helpful or can be an actual prerequisite for some of these other exemptions. Note that in the brown font, there is both federal and state tax for what is called unrelated business income. These apply only to any sales amounts that you make that are in excess of $1,000 per tax year for items you have been selling that are outside of your exempt purpose. So again, this might not apply to you, but for example, depending on the situation and your mission, if you've been selling t-shirts for fundraising purposes, that might not be related to your mission and would count as an unrelated business income. There's no exemption from this, and it's helpful to be aware of this. So even just for decisions for fundraising plans and such, it's just something to be mindful of. You are supposed to pay these taxes for any tax year that it applies by filing Form 990T with the IRS and Form 500 with Maryland. For Maryland taxes, every organization doing business in Maryland must register with the Comptroller of the Treasury by filing what's called a combined registration application. This gives notice to the state of Maryland regarding your nonprofit business activity and federal tax exemption status. And at the same time, it does set you up for other licenses and accounts that might be necessary also. To obtain acknowledgement of your exemption from Maryland's business income tax, you can submit a letter of request to the Revenue Administration Division explaining your purpose and including a copy of your IRS determination letter, bylaws, and your most recent financial statement. If you want tax-free purchases in the next item, for purchases related to your exempt purpose and you are a nonprofit, charitable, educational, or religious organization, you may apply for a sales and use tax exemption certificate. You would search for SUTEC on Maryland's Comptroller website, and you can find this specific application. Besides 501c3s, a few other groups can also qualify for sales and use tax exemption, such as veterans organizations and volunteer fire companies. So when you apply, you would include a copy of your IRS determination letter, your organizing document, and your bylaws. And if you're approved, you would receive an exemption certificate, which is basically wallet-sized, very small, and it's renewable every 5 years. For the next item, for property tax, Nonprofits that own real estate that is used for exempt purposes do need to specifically apply for property tax exemption. So that's another application you would find, this one on Maryland's SDOT website. And I have all the websites that we refer to here today at the end of the presentation. Be aware that strict criteria is used for determining property tax exemption for charitable nonprofits. So even if you might be a 501c3 organization and you apply, you may not necessarily receive this exemption. Lastly, there is another tax that is assessed at various county rates that can be confusing. If you are a business that owns or leases what's called personal property, that would be any office equipment, any tools, inventory, and property like that. If the total value of all such property was $2,500 or more when you originally obtained each of those, you must pay a personal property tax. This is a recurring tax that's paid each year, and it's reported along with the annual Form 1 that you file each year with Maryland. So you might not own or lease any property, or all the property that you own or lease may amount to less than $2,500, in which case you don't need to, worry about this tax. But if this does apply to you, then nonprofits would not be automatically exempt. You are supposed to apply specifically for exemption from this personal property tax, and that is on another application that is found on Maryland's SDOT website. Now that we have an overview of the various taxes, federal income tax exemption is the largest component, and we will focus on that in part 2 of this quick tip. In part 2, we will cover 501c3 exemptions, the application forms, and other sections of IRS tax exemptions such as 501c4s. We will also cover situations where small nonprofits might operate without applying for recognition. Thank you for checking out this quick tip. We have the websites that I referred to in this video here. Please also visit our website, communitylaw.org, and you can see our workshops, more quick tips, and some helpful publications for nonprofits. You can also sign up to speak with an attorney for free up to 45 minutes. Or if you're ready for legal assistance, you can download our application for services and become a client. Take care. Thank you.